hello, hello. It's your girl, Sean LeRae with Boss Talk. That's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And welcome back. So, I always have great guests for you, and I'm excited tonight because tonight is Gentleman of the Month. So, the gentleman that I am going to bring before you tonight is a dear, dear friend. And I think I have known him, gosh, it's kind of scary. I have to say over 20 years. Okay. I know that for a fact because I've been living here for over 25 years and he was a part of my New York life. So his name is Mark Gross. He is the owner of Cherub Executive Service, and it's a licensed security company of which he is the owner, founder, and CEO. And it was founded in 2009. They specialize in personal residential uniform security, and they also do special events, TV production, security, and tours. So before I say another word, I'm going to bring on Mark Gross. Say hello.
Hey, how you doing, Sean LeRae?
Good to see you, Marky Mark.
Good to see you too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Congratulations on your podcast. It's
Thank
doing very
you.
well. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really excited. We have a lot of fun here. You know,
Awesome.
I'm committed to that.
Very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I of you, my friend.
Thank you.
So let's see. I love the name. So I want to know that first of all, Cherub Executive Service. So where did you come up with the name Cherub?
You
What
know,
made you want to use that?
I have a spiritual background. My father was a pastor. I'm a Christian. And I've always considered myself as the protector or guardian angel of the people that I love and care about. So
Mm,
when I started my business in 2009, I was bouncing around names and I wanted something that honored God, but I didn't want it to sound fanatical for someone who is not a believer.
right.
So, like I said, I've always considered myself as a guardian angel, protector of people I love and care about. And I've always been infatuated with guardian angels in the Bible. So Cherub
Oh,
is a guardian angel in the Bible. So I said that's pretty appropriate to have the name Cherub Executive Service.
I love that. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
thank you.
So tell me about executive service. Like, what does that actually mean?
That's a great question. Well, executive service, some people know it as personal security or bodyguard service. Um,
Hmm.
so it's very different from residential or uniform or event security. It's all levels have their niche. Executive protection, you have people that are very experienced in the EP world. They have either military and or law enforcement background or extensive personal security experience, firearms training. The permits, the level of licenses and permits are different. Most can carry a concealed weapon, so they have to have license for that. So it's a different mindset than any other type. For instance, while you're guarding a high-end client, uh, some of the things you want to know when you meet with them are well, what are the risks? Are there any known stalkers, any threats, any police reports, uh, anything that we should be aware of or be concerned with? Anyone that we should be concerned with?
Hmm.
What type of blood type are you? Do you have any allergies? Are you asthmatic? Do we need to carry an inhaler? Who are the people that you associate with? Where are the places that you frequent? So that way we can advance that place and we can know. So that way when we go in and out of a place, we know where the exits are. We know where to drop off and pick up. We know in case of emergency how to exit seamlessly. So that way the client goes in and out, they enjoy themselves, and they come back seamlessly. If something happens, because most of the time what executive protection costs is don't teach you is that a lot of times you're by yourself. So you have to think on the fly. If something happens, what to do, how to get venue security or law enforcement that may be scattered throughout the venue or the building to help you out and assist you. So a lot of things you have to think on the fly and be quick and pivot. So
Oh, I love that. That's a word we have gotten very accustomed to this year. Well, these last couple of years, I guess it is now, right? So
mhm.
tell me, I know that when we knew one another, I think you were still in school, right?
Yes, I was. I was in college.
Yes, yes. So we met. Did we meet at a fashion show? I can't remember.
Um, it. I remember we were walking on campus, and I don't know if we were coming from a fashion show or going to one, but I know it was on campus. That
Okay, okay, okay. And then you guys needed an advisor for your fashion club.
right.
And
Hmm.
we started talking, and then you asked me if I could be your advisor.
Right.
And I was at City College doing a creative writing class.
Wow, that was a
And
long.
oh my God, that was so long ago.
Wow. Wow.
Oh wow, that is really, I mean, we were such
I
babies then.
know. I know. It's crazy how
Yeah.
time flies.
It is so true. So then that happened, and then I met some of your friends, and you met all of mine, and I met most all of yours and your family and all of that. And
Mhm.
I tell you that we certainly had a great time back in those days, and
Yes,
I
we do.
love that all these years later we have reconnected in
Exactly.
California.
Exactly.
Can't beat
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
absolutely can't beat that.
We're family
So
now.
yes, we are. We are definitely family. And you mentioned that you all are able to carry concealed weapons. And I remember my husband doing a letter of recommendation for you regarding
Hmm.
that, right? Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
When I first applied for my CCW in 2007. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was
Wow.
a big help. Big help.
My goodness. He was that kind of guy. He
He
really was.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
So,
launched it.
huh? What'd you
He
say?
helped, he helped launch my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have told me, stories about him that I didn't know about. So I have learned even more about his generous heart
Hmm.
since he passed.
He was a great
It's
man.
amazing. Every
Great.
day I'm learning new things about my wonderful William. It's something.
He's a
So
great
now
man.
I know William's background as a PI. He was, and I'll say it like he did, Air Force intelligence. so so he was Air Force intelligence, and that was sort of his road in because, like you mentioned, a lot of people's background is law enforcement and that kind
Mhm.
of thing. So, what was your background before? What did you do before you decided to start this company?
Well, shortly after we met at City College campus in New York, I joined the Marine Corps. And I actually did 14 years in the United States Marine Corps.
Wow.
And I've also, within the last probably 15, 20 years, have studied Muay Thai and boxing. And I recently started studying Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I was out of the Marine Corps and I was living in Atlanta and I was working in the finance field because I have a bachelor's in finance, and I was working in the mortgage industry. And I wanted to come back to California, but I didn't want to come back without a job. So I happened to be working for a mortgage company in Atlanta that I found out had an office in Southern California.
Hmm.
So that was my opportunity to come back. So in 2003, I came back here, and I was building my business on the mortgage side. And while I was doing that on the weekends, I was bouncing at a club in Long Beach called Cohiba. Shout out to George, the owner of Cohiba.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and I became good friends with a buddy of mine, Andre Gregg. To this day, we're good friends. Um, Andre's a great guy, and he said, "Hey, you don't have the typical bounces mentality. Have you ever thought about executive protection?" And I said, "Well, bodyguard work, yeah, they make way more than a bouncer, but it's a small clique. It's hard to get in." So he said, well, that's what I do. And if you're interested, I can help you get in that field. So I considered, okay, my military background, the Marine Corps, the training that we have, the discipline, and also my martial arts experience. So I went and I got my licenses and my permits and my firearms, and I started working on private property as a residential security officer. And then eventually I said, well, hey, I would watch the guys who were doing EP work for the client, and they were able to leave property armed, and they would do the cool stuff. They would go to the restaurant with the club with the client. Sorry, they would go shopping with the client. They do all kind of fun activities. So I said, well, hey, I want to do that too. So I applied for my concealed weapons permit, and thanks to William, who was one of the people who gave me a recommendation, and I received my CCW right when the economy collapsed. And 2007, because before that I was just doing EP work on the side for fun because the mortgage industry was doing so well. But when the recession hit, the first industry to go under was the real estate and mortgage industry. So God had a ram in the bush.
There you
So
go.
once I had my CCW, and by that time I had been working with a couple of clients, and so I received my CCW, and I reached out to a friend of mine who was working for the Lakers, and I was like, hey, the mortgage industry and the real estate industry is terrible right now. The recession is really devastating us. I need some help. So she said, well, hey, I know you very well. I know your work ethic. I'm good friends with Kobe and the head of
Oh,
security. I'm going to introduce you to them, and I know they'll like you. So she arranged that. I met with Kobe, I met with the head of security, and they hired me immediately.
wow.
So once you get Kobe on the resume, doors
Yeah,
pretty much open.
you're pretty
Yeah,
much in. That's
exactly.
like, yeah.
Exactly. And I
Yes.
started working for other clients, and from that point, and I got I met a gentleman who was looking for someone. He had his clients were Jay-Z and Beyonce, and he had just picked up Rihanna. So they were based in New York, and so they were looking for a LA guy. So one of my friends who I worked with for a client the religious world, he said, I have the perfect guy for you. He's based out of California. His name is Mark Gross. So they flew me to New York. I met with them. They hired me on the spot, and I started working for Rihanna. So now I have Kobe and Rihanna on the resume. Doors flew open.
Yes, I guess so. Sister
Yeah.
Walton says God will put a ram in the bush. Amen. Yes,
Amen.
yes,
Yeah.
Auntie. Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. A lot of people say ace in the hole, but if you know God, it's not an ace in the hole. It is a ram
Exactly.
in that bush. There's
Yeah.
always,
He had
that.
a plan. I had no idea when I met Andre Gregg that would that was in the plan. I had
Mhm.
no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, you've mentioned a few times about how, people said, hey, I know you, I know your work ethic, I know you're a good guy, I know what you stand for, and about your mindset. So, can you talk a little bit about like what that is? Because I think it's sometimes we forget in our different industries, no matter what the industry is, and especially for young people out there who might be watching, it's important how you present. And
Mhm.
so talk a little bit about that. Like, how
Yeah.
could these people count on you? How do they know this about you?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to my father, raising as my mom and my father, and also the Marine Corps, because it taught me how to manage my time, how to multitask, how to be punctual, discipline. And in this line of work, this industry is so important. A lot of guys get in trouble because they blur the line. And I tell all the guys that work for me, the client may be friendly, but they're not your friend. They're your
Mhm.
boss.
Right.
So don't get it twisted. And so, yeah. So what I always try to do with any client, whether it's a entertainer, athlete, corporate exec, government dignitary, I speak only when spoken to. I'm not a robot, so I do show personality, but I'm not a chatty catty.
Oh
I'm
yeah, it's not for me then. We
Yes.
know that.
Yes, I'm punctual. You cannot change your expression. So sometimes, they may snap at you or whatever for whatever reason. You can't change your expression. You have to be professional. You have to be alert because a lot of these clients, especially the ones who are very successful, they're very successful for a reason, and they're always observant. So they're watching you whether you realize it or not. When I
Mhm.
met Kobe, he didn't say a word to me the whole night. He went to the Jimmy Kimmel show. Then afterwards, he and his wife Vanessa went to dinner, and then afterwards we escorted him home. He didn't say one word to me, but he was watching me the whole time. And
Mhm.
so you always have to be cognizant of that. Your demeanor. You might be exhausted. You just worked 14, 15, 16 hours the night before and you had to get up early again. You just have to shake it off. And another thing, I've always been ambitious and resilient. And even as a business owner, you have some setbacks. You may
Oh
have
yeah.
an employee that does something stupid, and it could cost you a client, and you get really bummed out about that. But you have to bounce back and say, hey, I that happened. I couldn't control it,
Mhm.
and it's time to move on. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to bring that to the table with this industry.
And that's that resilience. I have a surprise for you. Andre is here. Hi,
I'm
Andre.
good, good.
He says, Mark, you look great. Congratulations on
My
your
brother,
success.
my brother, he was pivotal in getting me into this industry. Without him, God had a plan.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that you can, speak to that and then pay it forward because I know you and I know that's what you do. So, so you've gone from mortgage banking to security in the military, as you mentioned, the punctuality and all of those things. Yeah, that would not have been for me either. So I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress, y'all. But I love that there's such a vast difference in the two industries, right? But
Yeah.
you were able to make the transition smoothly by leaning on something that you had learned before. And a lot of times people think that, well, I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. I don't have that skill. Or they might not recognize what can come out of the experience that you've had from before.
Right.
And so I love how you were vigilant and watching and listening, because I think that's important to listen to God's voice, to that small, still voice, to the people around you, all of those things.
Yes.
You would
Yes.
credit some of this to you being able to do that?
Absolutely. When I left Atlanta to come out here in 2003, I met with a friend of mine who's like a mentor, and I was kind of nervous about coming out here and starting all over because the industry on the East Coast is different from the industry on the West Coast. They have escrow companies out here. They have closing attorneys on the East Coast. So, and the industry is just different. So I was really nervous about coming here. And he said, you're a successful person. So whatever you do, you're going to be successful at it.
Ooh, I
So
love
that calmed me way down,
that.
So a
Mhm.
lot of people that come up to a wall and they don't know which way to turn or what to do, sometimes you have to step back to
Mm,
give you that momentum to break through that wall.
come
And
on.
so that's what I did, because a lot of times we'll have a window of opportunity and we're reluctant to walk through it or dive through it. and we're saying, well, boy, what's going on? I mean, and the opportunity is right there. So
Yes.
you just have to have the courage to just step forward and go through it, because fear is a motivator.
Ooh, you know what? I'm just loving you right now. Absolutely. I wrote it down. Sometimes you have to step back to get the momentum to break through that
Yes.
wall. Mark, that should, like, if you had $1 for every, well, no, like $1 million for each one of those words, because that's priceless. Because I think a lot of us get to the wall and we become afraid, right?
Mhm.
And we start thinking of all the ways that this thing, this idea, this brilliant idea that we might have, we think of all the ways it will not work.
Right.
We
Right.
start
And
thinking about all the things we did as a kid and who did us wrong as a kid and all of that. And
exactly.
I'm a therapist, so I'm not negating people's past, but
Mhm.
we have to walk through the healing
Mhm.
to get to that place. And it's
Yeah.
it's so important. And I love,
Mhm.
and mindset is so much of it, right?
It
You
is.
said that he said to you that you are a successful person.
Mhm.
And at
Yep.
that point, you hadn't moved on to your next venture. So, what he's saying is success is a mindset. It's not
Exactly.
a bank account. It's
Exactly.
not your followers on Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook and all of that. It's not
Right.
the cars in your driveway. It's not the
Right.
rooms in your house.
It's not.
It's your
Yep.
mindset.
Exactly. If you don't have that, none of that matters. I mean, you'll never achieve your goal.
Yes, I love it. So tell me, when you meet with your clients, how do you go about, like, do you have to sort of go, like, if you have I guess a lot of it is word of mouth, at least in the beginning. Well, let me back up. How do you find clients now?
Yeah, it's pretty much word of mouth, because you sign non-disclosure agreements, so you can't, or you shouldn't go out and talk about your clients. Um, but it's usually word of mouth, and then when you do meet with them, it's a give and take, because they want to know what you bring to the table. You are obviously referred to them by someone who they respect, so that gets your foot in the door. So they want to know what your experience is, whom have you worked with in the past, um, what credentials you have, what license, what insurance you have from a liability standpoint. That's very important to them.
Mhm,
And at the same time, you're interviewing them, because this might not be a good fit for you.
mhm,
So you
mhm.
want to know, okay, well, what should we be concerned with? Who are the risks? I mean, do you have someone after you? you know, uh,
Right, right.
yeah, that we should be concerned with. Has
Exactly.
this been
Who did
reported?
you make mad this week?
Exactly, exactly. And also, like I said, you want to know who is in their circle. So, for
Mm,
instance, say if you're at a club with them, or an event, and someone approaches them, you want to challenge them, but respectfully. Hi, my name is Mark Gross. I'm security for this client. Uh, may I ask who you are? You
mm,
don't want to be confrontational, because that might be a label exec. It might be a friend that they were expecting that they didn't tell you was going to arrive tonight. It may be
mhm,
their manager that you haven't met, or their publicist. So, but you
mhm,
still have to do your job and challenge the individual respectfully. So it's good if you already know who they roll with. So that way, okay, well, this person is okay. You also want to know which places they frequent. If it's say they want to go, they often go to Noble and Malibu. Well, you want to familiarize yourself with
mhm,
that. Want your driver to be familiar with it, so when he arrives, he knows exactly where to go. If there's a back entrance, you want to know how to get there. You want to know. You want to stay in contact with the driver, so just in case there's an emergency, you have to leave quickly. If you're out of town and you're in a hotel, if but somebody pulls the emergency alarm and they have to evacuate the hotel, you need to know beforehand where to take the client, because you don't want them standing outside with everybody waiting for them to clear the hotel and to come back in. So you want to be able to take your client to a secure place and wait it out until it comes. You don't want them waiting out there with everyone to recognize
Right.
them, and then
Right.
just so it's a lot of little things that people don't realize we do before, during, and after. They just
Mm.
think we stand or sit around and look intimidating, but they don't realize what we do before, during, and after to make
Right.
it seamless to the client. So the more information you get from the client, like I said, their blood type, are they asthmatic? Do I need to carry an inhaler in case you get into an attack?
Situation, right? Because you may not
Exactly.
want to carry it in that cute little sequins bag, right? It might stick. Well, it's interesting because these are things that I would not think of.
Hmm.
Definitely wouldn't, the general public wouldn't think of like blood type. Of course, that's all important
Yes.
when you put it like that. I remember once watching something on television, and I think it was, I feel like it was Dr. Phil or Oprah. I'm not sure which one. And looking and being like, that's Marky Mark. That's my Mark. Because you were there and the camera kind of scanned you a couple times, and it held on you for a moment, and then it
Wow.
went away. I was like, I know that's him. I know that's him. And then I got right in front of the TV and I waited until they scanned again. I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's him. So that was fun. And you were just like hands crossed in front, kind of looking like, yeah, don't mess with us because they're really.
Yeah.
But that
Hmm.
kind of takes me back because I remember when we used to go out in New York and when we have shows and that kind of thing, you were always protecting me and all
Hmm.
the ladies. That's who you are. So it's just makes so much sense that this would be the business that you're in. And I
Hmm.
love that there it has a meaning for you in that it's the idea of you protecting those you love and care about, and there is a biblical meaning to it as well.
Hmm.
So Auntie Sister Walton said you had to pursue, overcome, and recover all that God has for you. Absolutely. And you have done that so well, my brother, so
Awesome.
very, very well.
Still doing it.
Every day. That's right. I love it. I love it. So now tell me, I know you started out, it was you.
Mhm,
So you got hired by Kobe's
mhm,
people,
mhm.
and then you went on to work for Rihanna, and it was you, and you were a band of one at that time. Am I
Right,
right?
right.
Okay, so what made you do the pivot thing and actually go into um, the executive, what is it?
Protection.
Executive protection biz, in a larger on a larger scale is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Yeah. I was working for several clients. In addition to Kobe and Rihanna, I was working with several other clients, high-end clients, and I, I found that it was killing my personal life. My daughter, who I love, shout out to Imani, that's my heart.
Speaking
She-
of which, here she is.
Ah,
Hi, Monty.
yes, that's my heart.
Says you're a
Um,
successful person, so whatever you do, you'll be successful. Dropping gems. There, that's right.
yeah.
She
So
grown now. Look at that.
yeah. So I found myself, not, spending enough time, even though, we're very close. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Because your
Mhm.
life revolves around your client's life. If you're on a tour, you might have 9 show days, which to everyone else is an off day. So you might be in Paris or
Mhm.
Rome or London or wherever, and everyone else is going sightseeing, enjoying themselves, having fun. But your client may want to go shopping that day, or they may want to go sightseeing. They may want to do whatever, and you have to go.
You're doing
If you have a team, then it's a lot easier for you to say, okay, you guys go. I'm going to kick back and relax or enjoy
that.
myself. But if you're by yourself, so I found myself traveling 300 days out of the year.
Oh my
And that
goodness.
killed any type of relationship I had, any type of time to see my family, my daughter. So I just said, what am I doing? And
Mm,
so I decided to start my own company in 2009. I opened up Cherub Executive Service, and I just started building off of the brand that I had at that made at that time, and in my contacts, and started doing. And I also wanted to help other families employ people and not treat them the way I did when I first got into the industry, by people who are will work you like a slave and won't pay you that much, or say they're going to pay you
mm.
this, and when you get your check, it's like, wait a minute, this is totally different from what we talked about.
Yeah,
So I,
what
yeah,
happened?
I said I'll never do that. So but it was mainly the freedom. That's what I
Mhm.
was looking
I love that. So, how many people have the privilege and honor of being employed by Cherub Executive Service?
for. I currently have 31 employees, so trying to build it
Wow,
up to 50 by the end of the year. So,
that is amazing. I
thank
am
you,
so proud of that for you.
thank
That
you,
is so cool.
thank
And I
you.
love that you are the kind of CEO who actually cares about his employees and their families and that sort of thing. And, I think it's so important as a Christian person to do business in a Christian manner, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so it can be challenging because there are people who are out there who are not going to operate by any of those principles, right? And
Absolutely.
you get pulled in and there's competition and you're like, well, maybe if I just slip past this one little
Mhm.
commandment or whatever,
Right. Mhm.
I can recover from it because he's a forgiving God. And but I'll advance, or I'll do this, or I'm paying them all that money, I don't have as much, or
Mhm.
all of those things that come into the mindset, that come into the mind, but are stopped when you have the mindset of Christ. That's what I've been
Mhm.
trying to say. And
Yeah.
so, so I love that that's how you operate your business, because that's when, God can bless that,
Yes.
many
Yes.
times over. That
Mhm.
is so awesome. And so
Absolutely.
now you get to pick and choose. Now, do you still do jobs yourself?
Yeah, I'll occasionally do it. I don't do it as often because, like I said, I'm trying to, uh, you know, just exercise the quality of life.
Mm.
That I miss. Working so hard. So, but I will occasionally go out. If I go out like a month here or there, it's fine. But I'm never going to do the 2, 3, 4 year long details. So I have a good group of young guys that want to do that. They want to get that experience, and
Mhm.
I'm all for it.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
I don't have to do it.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, it looks glamorous. Like when you saw me on TV, like a lot of people say, "Oh, I saw you, at the Laker game behind Kobe or whatever. Or I saw you with
I
this
saw that
family."
too. I did see that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. They think it's a glamorous, and don't get me wrong, it's a great experience. I've been to all over the world. I've been to places that I never dreamed of going to. Some places I never even heard of. I was like, Azerbaijan. I never heard of Where's Azerbaijan? So so it's a lot of places and a lot of things that we experience, but it is work, because the
Absolutely.
long hours. um, you know, some days you work, you could work 6 months without a day off, so it's yeah, it's grueling. You lose weight because you're not working out as often. Some of the hotels don't have great gyms. You're eating crappy food. You're not getting your rest. So,
Mm,
and if I feel bad for the guys who are married. Oh my God, I don't know how they get to spend quality time with their significant other. So it's not as glamorous as a lot of people think, but it is something that I'm definitely thankful that I went through.
that is so great. Yeah, you can always pull something from that, and then it's a blessing when you no longer have to participate in
Exactly.
that.
People
I
ask me
love
all the time. People ask me all the time, "Do you miss it?" I'm like, "No."
I know. I do understand. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up because I'm trying to hire folks right now to take some of the load off of me and lighten my caseload.
Yes.
Um, it's also very hard because I love my clients and I love the work
Mhm.
that I'm doing. But at
Yes.
some point, I have to kind of say, but there are other things that you want and need to do in your life. Like I need to finish this doctorate, and you know, so
That's awesome.
that's important. And the larger the caseload, the less bandwidth in the brain, for sure. For
Right.
sure. We have a comment from
Oh,
Jeffries. Happy
that's
birthday.
my good friend and my martial arts instructor, Jeff Cellini. He calls me Kohai, which in Chinese is, I'm sorry, he calls, yeah, I call him Sifu, which means teacher, and Kohai is student. So
Ah, I love it. I love
shout out
it.
to Jeff Cellini and Kelly.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jeff. You blew it for me because I was going to mention that. But I don't mind letting you go first. So yes, and I want to say thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time to do this for me and
It's
my
awesome.
audience on your birthday. That is so amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a
So
pleasure.
yes, yes, and so many of those birthdays we have celebrated together back in the day.
Yes.
And Mark knows my birthday, I'm like a queen. I have to have all, where's the red carpet, darling? It's my birthday.
Yes, yes.
Belinda. Belinda says, Happy birthday,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Belinda is my amazing nurse practitioner, psychiatric nurse practitioner that works here with us at Living Loved. Uh,
Awesome.
and that's a new blessing to have. So thank you, Miss B. And
Awesome.
let's see who else we have here. GM
Oh,
Sauce.
Gail, sorry. That's a good friend of mine. And she's also one of my earlier clients. She's a jeweler. And
Oh, my kind of
yeah,
girl.
yeah, you two would get along great. She has a bubbly personality. She's an amazing person. She's awesome. Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. Hello. Thank you for tuning in, Gail. She's this fabulous interview, Mark. Happy birthday.
Awesome. Thank you, Gail.
So, Gail, I'm a jeweler too. We should chat.
Yes.
Well, I haven't made anything in a long time because what? I don't sleep already. But thank you for tuning in.
Mhm,
So, Mark,
mhm.
tell me, um, you have now sort of expanded the operation so that you have been able to take your time back. So, what do you do in terms of dating and getting yourself out there? Because I know you mentioned those who are married, so I'm sure that that means that you're not married.
No, no, I'm not.
Okay, how's that possible? But go ahead.
no, I'm not. But I'm taking it slow. I have met someone who I'm interested in. We just met, so we're gonna see how it goes. So we'll see.
Very good. Very good. So let me ask you a question. So you've lived in New York
Hmm.
and then you lived in Atlanta,
Hmm.
right? And
Yes.
so now you're here in LA. And I always like to talk to people about the dating and their experiences with dating. Do you believe or find that dating is different in the different cities that you've lived in?
That's a great question. You know, I I don't think it's different. I mean, you may have uh, like okay, I would say some of the things that I enjoy. Like I enjoy small live music places, like lounges, um,
Mhm.
and I enjoy uh, you know places where I can go to just relax and So I've never been a club person and so I would say some of the places like LA, New York, Atlanta have more of those places, especially LA. It has a lot more of the places that I enjoy going to. So therefore, I have a means to meet people
Mhm.
that are like-minded in those places, as opposed to North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, where I live. But that was years ago. I'm sure Durham has changed since then.
Mhm.
Atlanta, I'm sure, since I left in 2003, it's changed. But I would say for the type of woman that I'm interested in, there are more places for me to go to meet them out here than
Mhm.
a lot of other places. So
Okay.
I wouldn't think it's a difference in like the women.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. So do you find that so a lot of people have mentioned to me, I have talked to that I've spoken with, feel like in California it's a little bit more difficult to date because of, the glam and the glitz and the Hollywood and the, all of that, and the every other person is an aspiring model, singer, dancer, actor, and trying to get into the business and all those kinds of things. What are your thoughts on that? Have you experienced any of that kind of um, situation, for lack of a better word?
um, no, I mean, you know, I mean, like I said, I mean, everybody's different, and so you have to take your own experience, you know, differently, and like I said, I'm pretty much, even though I don't seem like it, I'm an introvert. And so I don't have to be the life of the party. I don't have to go out and woohoo. My off time basically consists of training. Either in the martial arts or at the gym, or hanging out with friends, or going to a live music spot. Spaghettinis. Pips on La Brea, Vibrato
Oh
Jazz.
yes,
Yeah,
talk to me.
yeah, yeah, places like that, and so so it's I think each person has their own experience.
Yeah, I love that you said that, and I know you to be a very positive and very centered man. And so I often, when I do hear that, I often say, well, there only has to be one person for you, right?
Mhm.
And so you may go and you may meet and date people who are just not of your liking, or not of your character, not of your interest, things that you're interested in, and those kinds of things in any city.
Mhm.
In California, I think, even though that may be the case, that a lot of people here are transplants coming here looking for a specific thing. But I believe that when you're here and you start doing the things that actually represent you, I think sometimes people start doing things they think other people want them to do, or things they think they can do to meet people, or that kind of thing, that they and that's fine if that's your normal swag,
Right,
right? But if you're over here trying to do blue things and you're a red thing person, and
right,
then it's not going to be authentic, and it's not
exactly,
going to give you a rich experience that you might
exactly,
want in a dating, and in
exactly.
leading to more relationship.
Not gonna feel natural. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I love that. So Andre wants to wish you a happy birthday as well.
Thank you, brother.
I love it. Who said, oh, and Gail and Imani are sending love to one another. I love that. And Imani said happy birthday. I missed that one. Let's give that
Thank you, thank you. Yeah,
one. Yes, yes.
it's my heart.
So, Mark, for you, I know that you've been in this business since 2009 and doing it in this way. And so, what is there something new that you want to try? What's next for you?
Well, actually, I've been in this business since 2005. I started my company in 2009.
Okay,
Um,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So what's next? we're focused on a lot of the uniform security side, which really helped during COVID, because COVID changed the game, um,
Mm,
especially during um, the initial pandemic craze and the riots.
yeah.
Actually, the security industry, I mean, I hate to say it, but thankfully we did very well. Um,
Mhm.
Fortunately, the security industry is a reality. We thrive during chaos. Um,
Yes.
yeah, people were afraid of people vandalizing their businesses, their homes, themselves. We did very well. So the next step would be just to grow the business, to be more global, and to have like more of a footprint on the uniform security side, construction
Mm,
sites, retail stores, um, things of that nature,
mhm.
strip malls, eventually grow as far as security vehicles. So that's the next step, trying to do
I love that. Come on, dream now. Dream
that.
big and make it happen. So yeah, and don't you think it's important to constantly kind of reinvent yourself? You know,
Yes.
you reach one level, then there's something else that's needed, and pivoting, as you mentioned before. And I'm glad you brought up, the pandemic, because during this time, a lot of our businesses changed. A lot of people lost jobs. A lot of people, you know, um, pivoted to home, and that created a lot of chaos because there was, maybe the husband, the wife, and the kids were all at home trying to do school and trying to do work and all of that. And of course, my industry, we thrived in terms of volume in this last couple of years too, because when there's chaos and trauma and all of those things that go with it, like depression, anxiety, all of those kinds of things, then people seek help. But I am happy to say that people are seeking help, like even in your industry and in my industry, that people are trying to get the help that they need in the security world and taking care of themselves, being protected, and all of that, and doing the same in taking care and protecting their mental and emotional spiritual health as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. You have to pivot, and like I mentioned earlier, there are certain challenges you have as a business owner, and owning your own business. You can't control what some of your employees do. You train them, you teach them, you do background checks, but if they do something, it could jeopardize the whole account. It could put your own brand in jeopardy, your reputation.
absolutely.
But you can't let that stop you. You just have to say, okay, it hurt. That's it affected a lot of families, because if you lose a client, a lot of people who worked on that account are going to lose their job.
Yeah,
So it not only affects you financially, but it affects many families. I tell people all the time when I hire them, your actions can affect many families. So,
hmm,
so you have to take that into consideration, and then you just have to pivot from that. You have to grow. Okay, that happened. I can't control it. I can't control how they feel about us now, but I just have to move on and
that's
and
right.
make sure that doesn't happen again. Do we need to change protocols? Do we need to change training? Do we need to change the hiring practice? Let's
Yes.
let's pivot. Let's move on so that that never happens again.
Absolutely. I had to learn the same way you did, the hard way, with an incident. And all you can do is recover. You can't roll over and die. You have too many
Hmm.
people counting on you, and not just the other employees, but the families and individuals and
Hmm.
couples and whatnot that we serve in this industry and in your industry, you know those that you employ. Like you said, everybody takes a hit when there's a hit.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I think that it's beautiful that, you have the mindset to just breathe it in, suck it up, learn some stuff, and keep it moving.
You have to. You have
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, is
Yeah.
there anything else that the Boss Talk audience should know about you, Mr. Mark Gross?
No. One other thing I mentioned. We mentioned that we do, personal security, residential, uniform events, tours. We also, someone might ask, well, what if I'm not a high end security? What if I'm not an entertainer or a celebrity? Well, we also do employee terminations. We do domestic violence. Protection for women who've been, abused. So
Mm.
you don't necessarily have to be a celebrity to reach out to Cherub Executive Service. And to contact us, just go to www.cherubexecutiveservice.com, and we'd be more than willing to discuss, the issues that you have and how we can help.
Wow, thank you. I was going to ask where they can find you. So, boom, we're going to put that up for you.
Great.
Did I
Yes.
spell
Thank you.
everything right?
That's
Yes. Okay,
perfect. Thank
good.
you.
So, to find, if you need any kind of executive protection or any of the things that my friend Mark here just mentioned, then you can find them at www.cherubexecutiveservice.com. And so I hope that people reach out to you from this, and that I wish you continued success, and just keep trusting, keep loving, keep living.
Thank you, Sean LeRae.
Absolutely.
Pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I want you to live loved, because that's what my company is. And
Okay.
living loved is exactly what you're doing. It's taking all of the gifts that God has given you and pouring them back into the world and the universe, and representing him well.
Oh,
And my friend Mark Gross, you are representing. I love it. I love
thank
you,
you.
and thank you.
Love you
You
too.
stay on. We're going to say goodbye to everybody else. And we'll see you again at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And for my East Coast folks, 9 o'clock. Please tune in to Boss Talk. Like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us here on YouTube at Boss Talk LA. You can find us on Facebook at Living Loved Healing, and at my name, Sean LeRae Brinkley. So we love y'all, and thank you for coming back. Hey, Lou, thanks for tuning in. And as you well see, I am drinking my WC, my Well Connected Water, which is the brand that my dear friend Lucia Nehemiah of Well Connected Gear, Well Connected Entertainment, and most recently, Well Connected Water. It's alkaline water, and it is so refreshing. Really, you ought to get me doing commercials for you, for real. Just for real. Okay. We love y'all. Thank you. Was that Gail?
Hmm.
And I saw another person here that I hadn't seen. Thank you, Therese McLean. She
Thank
says, great
you.
job, Mark.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Terry.
So y'all tune back in. We love you, and we will see you next week, Wednesday. Boss Talk, bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. We're out.